As with so many growing up playing the wonderful game of baseball, I dreamed of playing in the major leagues. But that time has come and gone. However, it is time for a dream of a new job where I have control. And it just so happens that one of the biggest jobs in baseball is available. So I'm applying to be the GM of the Boston Red Sox. Okay, they might not let me dress like this. Hang on. Now that's better. John Henry, Boston Red Sox ownership. I have a 5-point plan to fix the Boston Red Sox and bring another World Series back to Boston. Let's check it out. As with any good interview, we must stop and take a look at the current team to see where the holes are and what we need to fix to bring stardom back to the Boston Red Sox. Taking a look at this team as it finished at the end of the year, Masataka Yoshida in left, Wilyer Abreu I do envision as the center fielder for next season, and Jarren Duran in right field. Rafael Devers is locked in at third base. There's a hole to fill at shortstop that we will be talking about. Trevor Story is going to move to second base. And for anybody wondering, no, you cannot trade that contract, and there's no point eating it at this time. Trevor Story is a part of this team moving forward. Triston Casas will be brought up as well, but he's locked in at first base. Connor Wong behind the plate, and bringing back bench players Luis Urias, Pablo Reyes, Reese McGuire, and Rob Refsnyder, just tweaking around the edges. Now, at DH is currently listed as Justin Turner. He has a player option. He may or may not be back. For this exercise, we are going to assume that Justin Turner is back. And yes, if he's back, we would like him to be our designated hitter. He had a very good season for the Red Sox this season. If Turner is not back, we can plug in Masataka Yoshida in as the new DH. As far as the pitching staff goes, I've got 4 starters we're looking at for the start of next season. Brian Bayo, Tanner Hook, who I believe is a starter, Cutter Crawford, and Chris Sale with an open spot in the rotation. Depth pieces, which will be added to the bullpen, Josh Winchowski and Nick Pivetta. Speaking of that bullpen, I've got Kenley Jansen coming back for next season. Garrett Whitlock is going to be a stud back end of the bullpen guy. Chris Martin is still there. Nick Pivetta and Josh Winchowski will be part of that bullpen. Brendan Bernardino, John Schreiber, and an opening in the bullpen. So where do we go from here? Step 1 of the plan, as with any good GM, is going to be some changes around the edges. Where is the money leaving and where is the money going to be coming in? Starting off, where is the money leaving? We can free up $30 million by not bringing back free agents. Who does that look like? Well, we're not bringing back James Paxton, Adam Duvall, Adalberto Mondesi, and Corey Kluber. For me, there's just too much injury risk for James Paxton. He's a great player. He had a great year, but I don't trust the injury risk. Same with Adalberto Mondesi, and Corey Kluber, I think, is just to that edge. There's no point in bringing back Kluber when there's a chance to develop or sign another starting pitcher. As for Adam Duvall, great year, but the game is changing. We need more athleticism in the outfield, and Adam Duvall just does not bring that. More on base, more athleticism, more speed. That is my first step with the Boston Red Sox in making these changes. We free up $30 million in space to pursue other avenues by doing this. Step 2 of our plan, the game is going younger. So as the GM of the Boston Red Sox, I am locking up 2 young stars to long-term contracts. And yes, we've got some comparables. We're saving some money on one end. We can afford to lock up our young stars on the other end. Rafael Devers is already locked up long-term, so we need to look at who else can we build around this team in the future. And we've got 2 studs that I believe are the future of the Boston Red Sox. First up, my offer to first baseman Triston Casas is an 8-year, $64 million. This hits very comparable to Michael Harris and Anthony Rizzo. Harris got 8 years, $72 million. Why less for Casas? Different defensive responsibilities. Harris is a center fielder. Casas is a first baseman. I think this fits well in terms of comparable. On the other end, Anthony Rizzo got 7 years, $41 million. Well, you say, well, why more for Casas? Because times have changed. That was a few years ago. Money goes up. Casas is going to need a little bit more money to give away some free agency years. What does this do? This is establishing long-term financial flexibility. 8 years locked into my first baseman. 10 years of Rafael Devers locked up. What this does, I'm keeping the DH spot open as well. in the future. Yes, Justin Turner's back next year potentially, but we need to hit on this long-term, keeping the DH spot open for Casas, open for Devers, but we lock up our 2 stud power hitters long-term. Stud starting pitcher Brayan Bello, we're turning to him and offering 7 years and $80 million. Comparables are tough to find with this. People do not lock up starting pitching to long-term deals. I'm different in this. We are locking up our stud ace for the future for the next 7 years. Is it going to cost some money, more than $10 million a year? Sure, but the numbers that Bello is already producing are worth more than $10 million per season on the open market. But we have controllable assets here, and we know what it's going to cost. It's going to cost us extra up front to control Bello, but on the back end, we are going to get deals if he shows the complete promise that we fully expect. He is Pedro Martinez light, and I think he has the capability of being an absolute stud. We're going to bank on this. Comparables in this area, Kyle Freeland, 5-year, $64.5 million from the Rockies. The difference there is Freeland was a little closer to free agency, less years, so less money. Same with Sandy Alcantara, 5 years, $56 million. I'm going longer term for Bello because he's younger than Freeland and Alcantara when they sign these deals. Yes, we are paying more up front, but in this day and age, we're going to pay for young players and build the team around young players and building into their primes. We are not going to overpay for players past their prime in Boston anymore. Step 3 of the plan, from 3 up, 3 down. How are we going to establish the Boston Red Sox as a true power? We need to fix the pitching. And unfortunately, young pitching other than Brayan Bello does not exist in the current system for the Boston Red Sox. So we are going to have to go to free agency, and we are going to go back to Japan. Masataka Yoshida was a hit and performed very well in the outfield for the Red Sox, and I like the contract, although I don't like the defense. However, we are going to use that influence. Yoshida seems very happy in Japan. Let's bring him some other Japanese compatriots to build this team even further. Where do we go? Back to Japan for pitching. And when we're talking pitching from Japan, there are 2 guys that we need to focus on. Starting pitcher, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. What I'm looking at here, 7-year, $155 million. Right around that price tag should get this type of deal done. Some comparables recently, Masahiro Tanaka, when he came over to the Yankees, 7-year, $155. That was the contract at that time for him. Last year, Kodai Senga got 5 years, $75 million. I expect somewhere in that area, maybe exceeding the $155 million for Yamamoto, but he is a young starting pitcher. At only 24 years old, well established in Japan already. He was the top pitcher in Japanese baseball twice. He does need posting. That's why the contract's a little higher. But $22 million for the potential of a stud 24-year-old starting pitcher is well worth the risk. He's known for his fastball, split, curveball mix. That is the type of mix that will play well in Fenway Park. If you go back to guys like Koji Uehara, who had a big-time splitter, a very effective pitch that produces a lot of swing and miss and a lot of ground balls, and that plays very well against power right-handed hitters in Fenway Park. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto has to be the number 1 free agency focus. And remember, at 22, 23, 24 million per season, that's okay because we freed up $30 million by not bringing back our other free agents. So I think this is a very important deal to get signed. If it costs a little extra, we get it done. This is the target for the Boston Red Sox to fill our rotation. There's also a need in the bullpen, and left-handed reliever Yuki Matsui is the name that I am looking to target in free agency from Japan once again. Comparables this, Chris Martin, just to the Red Sox last year, signed a 2-year, $13.5 million. I think this plays very well. Matsui is 27 years old, also in the prime of career. A left-handed reliever who has closing experience in Japan. I view him as the back end of the bullpen, relief arm, 7th, 8th, 9 guy. Kenley Jansen is in the last year of the deal. So is Chris Martin. This is the type of guy who can end up as the closer here in Boston, if not the back-end lefty in all situations. Matsui as well fits in a fastball slider split piece, more like a changeup for him. But once again, that will induce a lot of ground balls and is going to play very well in Fenway Park, as well as the other AL East launching pads that are scattered across the division. Should we lose out on Yamamoto, I do have some backup plans. There are some backups in terms of starting pitching out there. Aaron Nola, Marcus Stroman, Jordan Montgomery are all names that can be considered. Of those, I would tend to favor Jordan Montgomery right now, not because of what he's doing in the playoffs, but because of the fact he's a little younger than the other two. Stroman would play well in Boston, but he has become more homer prone the last few years, so I would stay away probably from him. That's why I favor Yamamoto over the age of some of these other free agency pitchers. Are you subscribed to 3 Up, 3 Down? 67% of you are not. You've made it this far in the video. You're into this baseball content. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Step 4 of my plan is going to involve some trades, and there are two names that I have not mentioned at this point of coming back to the Boston Red Sox, and those are outfielder Alex Verdugo and infielder Bobby Dahlbeck. For me, locking up Triston Casas, Rafael Devers makes Bobby Dahlbeck expendable, and with the focus on athleticism in the outfield, yes, he's athletic, but I'm looking for more in my outfield, so I'm looking to move Alex Verdugo combined with Bobby Dahlbeck for some starting pitching help, young starting pitching help, and I have 4 teams that I think in mind that would pick up the phone. First up, the Seattle Mariners. How about if Seattle does not bring back Teoscar Hernandez, they need an outfielder. I think Verdugo would fit very well for them. Some names to keep in mind with Seattle. How about Emerson Hancock or Walter Ford? Young starting pitching. Now, I'm not talking both of them, but potential of bringing back a young starter in that double AAA area to build for our future. Chris Sale is not lasting long term. How about the Dodgers? If they miss out on Shohei Ohtani, they are going to need some outfield help. David Peralta and Jason Hayward are not doing it for year after year. They need an outfielder in this case as well, so I'm looking for them to acquire some starting pitching. How about young pitchers like River Ryan or Maddox Bruns? Both young starting pitchers that we can develop as we try to focus on the afterlife, moving on from Chris Sale in the long term, because there are no prospects in the system. We cannot be spending all of our money on starting pitching. Couple other teams to look at. Maybe the Miami Marlins, a young guy like Dax Fulton, or maybe someone on the roster like Trevor Rogers, who's been pushed out of the way because of the young guys coming up in Miami. Or maybe we go to Minnesota, who's likely to need an outfielder there as well because of the injuries to Byron Buxton. Maybe a youngster like Marco Rea, a AA type pitcher who we can bring up through our system and mold the way we want to establish himself in the majors with the Boston Red Sox. So the Red Sox need to focus on young starting pitching. And I think the player to go the other way is going to be a player like Bobby Dahlbeck, Alex Verdugo, maybe a combination of the two. This is the type of deal we need to get done to get some young starting pitching into Boston. Yes, I know that's a tough price to pay for Boston, but for me, this is the type of trade that needs to be made to acquire young pitching and improve this team for the now and the future. And to go along with it, youngster like Wilyer Abreu, him breaking out next season would be a huge advantage. I understand giving up a Verdugo becomes a risk, but there are more prospects in the system, so let's take a look at where we can go with our prospects. Step 5 in my 5-point plan is probably the toughest to achieve, because when you take a look at the top prospects currently in the Red Sox system, we have a problem that we need to address. And this is not just going to be addressed by trading the likes of Bobby Dahlbeck or Alex Verdugo to acquire some pitching. Take a look at the top prospects in the Red Sox system currently. Shortstop, Marcelo Meyer. Center fielder, Roman Anthony, who is a backup to our issue potentially with Wilyer Abreu if he does not pan out. Shortstop, Ceddanne Rafaela. Catcher, Kyle Teel. Second baseman, Nick York. Outfielder, Miguel Bleis. Again, another depth option in the outfield would provide more athleticism. But what you're missing is starting pitching of any kind. So this is where there needs to be a change in philosophy. And my philosophy is there needs to be a focus on drafting and developing starting pitching from top to bottom. And more importantly, when you look at the young pitching prospects in Boston currently or in the minor leagues, there's one thing that stands out. They do not throw strikes. There needs to be more of an emphasis on repeating delivery and throwing strikes. So there needs to be an overwork top to bottom to fix this issue in the Red Sox minor league system. So I'd be looking at signing new developmental pitching coaches for the minor league system. This needs to be addressed throughout the system and is a change in philosophy. The focus would be on drafting and developing college pitchers who are more projectable and can reach the major leagues at a quicker rate. The reason why we're avoiding high school arms, they take longer to develop, there's more risk for injury, and Boston needs to win now. The Red Sox are always in win now mode, so we need to create a steady stream of pitching prospects by drafting a multitude of young college arms and developing them quickly to hit the major leagues, whether they're starters or relievers, to give this team support. When you acquire and then can develop starting pitching and young pitching, that's going to help you in the financial end as well, because young controllable arms cost less. And when you do that, you can put more financial might into the position players and use that money towards free agency if needed to fill the holes. So there needs to be an overall change in philosophy, developing young college arms as pitchers in both starting and relief capacity. So there you have it. When all is said and done, those are my 5 points to get me the job as the future GM of the Boston Red Sox. So what does my team look like for the 2024 season? Let's take a look. On the field, I have my outfield of Masataka Yoshida, Wilyer Abreu, and Jarren Duran. I like the athleticism. I would prefer to have Yoshida at DH, but we're bringing back Justin Turner, who's been a quality hitter for us. Rafael Devers, Trevor Story, Tristan Casas are joined on the infield with a young athletic player in Ceddanne Rafaela. He's got some pop. He's got a tremendous amount of speed. He has a lot of athleticism. He's a player I really like and needs the opportunity to produce in the major leagues. I understand he might not stick long-term at shortstop. Defensively, he's a very good shortstop. But if Marcelo Meyer can work out his issues in the minor leagues and be the everyday shortstop, then Rafaela can certainly find a spot defensively and offensively as a quality outfielder, potentially in right field in the big ballpark that is right field in Fenway Park. So we're building for some youth and athleticism. We're adjusting to this game at the time. We can't go full-on overhaul in 2024, but this looks like a very quality lineup with speed and athleticism for 2024. Taking a look at the pitching, Brian Bayo, Tanner Hook, Cutter Crawford, Chris Sale, they are joined by Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yes, we might need to overpay for Yamamoto, but a young 24-year-old blossoming star potentially in the major leagues is the type of player we need to bring to Boston. There's a lot of connections to Japan already with Masataka Yoshida and past experiences with Japanese players. And building a potential pipeline through Japanese players also opens up the opportunity. Maybe someday the right to acquire Roki Sasaki becomes more meaningful because of the connection to Japanese players and the opportunity presented in Boston. So this is the starting rotation in my mind for 2024. So taking a look at the bullpen, we have, of course, Kenley Jansen, Garrett Whitlock, Chris Martin, Nick Pivetta, Josh Winchowski, Brennan Bernardino, John Schreiber, and the newly acquired Yuki Matsui. We need a left-handed specialist. Yuki Matsui fits that. He also can get righties out. I think he has the potential to blossom as a star in the majors as well. 27-year-old, potentially even the closer if he works out this season. Even if he doesn't work out, we're talking a 4-year commitment by what I'm looking at. I think a 4-year commitment for a reliever is not going to kill you. It's not going to break the bank. So this makes a lot of sense to me in my team for 2024 and the future of the Boston Red Sox. So did I get the job? Comment down below if you think I deserve the job as the GM of the Boston Red Sox. And if you're into this kind of video, make sure you comment down below as well. I'd love to take a look at another team. If you're interested in this kind of video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment what team you think I should apply for next. As always, I greatly appreciate everyone's support here on 3 Up, 3 Down. Make sure you go check out some of my playoff prediction videos that have been coming out recently. As well, we have all kinds of videos coming up, so you want to hit that subscribe button. We got some sports memorabilia stuff coming out. We have the end of our fantasy baseball update. We've got some pack openings. We got all kinds of things going on here, baseball related and 3 Up, 3 Down. So make sure you are subscribed and hit that little bell to make sure you're notified when I upload. Until next time, go check out some previous videos. Take care, everyone.